Let me tell y'all this. How you think the Jamaicans feel about Afrobeats that be eating dancehall? And if you gonna say Afrobeats is not eating dancehall right now, you bugging. Afrobeats is eating everything right now. What y'all gonna do? You can't stop it. Cause blood clot last. If I hear last one more time, I'ma punch this.
You don't cast, last. Now everybody go to breakfast.
Yo.
Fine face like Genevieve. Anything you want, I go be. I be right here, I don't leave.
Dana naughty, but she go chop if you give her cucumber. Walk out from Transamadi till I let the
all the sweet ones free cause I'm active, yeah. Hit the scene with the baddies, Nickel and the seed, that's the standard. Do shit you won't believe till it happens.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining me. I am your man, Corp J. And thank you for tuning in to this special video. I am truly excited about today. Yesterday was Nigeria's Independence Day. And so I want to start off by saying happy belated Independence Day to my peoples, wherever you may be on the continent, as well as in the diaspora. I joined with you yesterday in celebrating Nigeria's Independence Day at 62 years from the birth of the country. And may you continue to shine bright. May you continue to walk giantly in your success. May you continue to do great things all over the world as you've continued to do. May you always represent both yourself, your family, your lineage, and your people in the most excellent and upright way. So again, happy belated Independence Day to all of my peoples all over the world. All right, so that being said, I have a great show for you all today. As I mentioned, on top of the fact that we just celebrated our Independence Day in terms of our people, I am also excited about the impact Nigerians are making all over the world. I am truly excited about the impact Afrobeat, our music, is contributing and making all over the world. It always warms my heart when I see people from all over the world really adopting to our culture. You know, when I see white people, Asians, Indians, people from the Middle East and all over the world really kind of take on Afrobeats, adopt the culture, celebrate our music, sing our songs, wear our clothes. It is refreshing and is really something of an amazement to see that, because if you know anything about these cultures that I've just talked about, these ones are very particular about the type of culture they adopt. You know, they're generally conservative. They are generally very family oriented. They are generally very much about community. And so to have them adopt Afrobeats, I would say has a lot to do with the people behind Afrobeats, the culture behind Afrobeats, which is Nigerians, than it is the actual sound of the music. Of course, they love the way it sounds, they love the beats, they love the rhythm. But I would say that the reason why these other cultures that have adopted Afrobeats to themselves and into their lives has more to do with the people behind it than it is the actual product itself. Because it's the rule of thumb with sales, right? You only buy from people you love. You only buy from people you like. You know, so when people buy from you, your product, it has more to do with you than it is the actual product. So I think that these cultures, that I've just named, have generally had great relationships with Nigerians. I mean, if you know anything about, the relationships that Nigerians have with white people, Indians. When I mean Indians, I'm talking about Indians both Native Americans and Indians in India that are all over the world. Asians. When I talk about Asians, I'm like Chinese, Koreans, Filipinos, and all of these other cultures. If you know anything, these cultures have generally had great relationships with Nigerians. If you're a Nigerian, you would know this. And if you are from these culture, I know you would attest to this. So I think that their acceptance and promotion of Afrobeats has largely been because of their relationships with Nigerians over the years, which is why they're very happy to adopt the Afrobeats culture and also wear our clothes and sing our songs and all of that. But nonetheless, Nigerians are to be credited for the success of Afrobeat, because before the world knew about Afrobeat, Nigerians all over the world were the ones that introduced Afrobeat to the world. And really kind of pushed it. So I'm truly, truly grateful and glad when I see all of these cultures really adopt our music and celebrate us. And it really is a great sight to see. That being said, not everyone is celebrating us, right? With everything, you're going to have those that aren't going to be with you, right? They're going to hate on you. You're going to have communities and cultures that won't go along the ride with you. But that's okay, because if you've ever been successful in your life, if you've ever had an upgrade in your life, you're going to know that, and you probably would know also that your circle becomes smaller as you go up the mountain. As you go up the mountain, you're going to start to find that not everyone is going to be happy with your success, right? Not everyone is going to praise you. Not everyone is going to go along with you. You're going to have agitators. You're going to have people that will rather sing and speak of your illness, or speak negatively about you, or promote that which is not good about you much more than they will promote that which is good of you. You're going to have that regardless. But that is okay. That is to be expected. And if you're not ready for that, then you're not ready for success. And I know many times, most people, when they become successful, it's a shocker for them when they start to find people hate them more, because naturally you think that everyone should celebrate and sing your praise. But what you find in a competitive world, in a world with different ideology, different culture, different language, different religion, different demographic, different race, you find that more and more you're going to get scrutinized by a few, but largely you're going to be celebrated. So don't pay attention to those that hate on you. That's my advice to my Nigerian brothers, and also my advice to anyone that is climbing the ladder of success. Don't pay attention to the few noises that want to dominate the room, that don't like you. Don't pay attention. Pay attention to this room right here, this area, where you have most people celebrating you. You have most people praising, singing your praise. Pay attention and spend your time with those ones that are uplifting you and everything that you do, because that's how you prolong your health. That's how you stay relevant. That's how you increase your base. And don't worry about those that don't want to be brought on the journey with you, right? So that being said, in addition to that, speaking in the lines of culture, I am tremendously happy to see that in addition to the different, demographic culture that we are penetrating in, I'm also happy to see institutions that we are breaking barriers. We are affecting cultures institutionally. For example, the Grammys. The Grammys now is considering having Nigerian music, Afrobeats, as a category, right? So I want you to take a listen to what the CEO said about this in terms of the Grammy considering Afrobeat as a category, in the Recording Academy. So take a listen to this.
Grammy. First, you have to understand that the only way to win is to have the membership of the Academy vote for you. In order to be a member of the Academy, you have to be a professional working in music in the United States. For now, the United States. Hopefully we grow that. Right now, if you're a working professional in the United States, you can become a member of the Recording Academy. Once you're a member of the Recording Academy, all the music gets submitted, the members listen to it, and they evaluate it on the quality of the art. Not the sales, not the streams, not how many fans, not how many followers, but purely on the opinion. And it's very hard, as you all know, because it's subjective. There's no best song or best record. It's just the opinion of the membership in that particular year. That's how you win a Grammy. That's it. The voters vote. There's no committees. There's no journalists. There's no labels. It's music professionals voting for their peers, period. Very similar to the way you win a Grammy, that's how categories are established. I have no control over the categories. The membership decides what the categories are. If you're a member, you can submit a proposal and say, I think there should be an Afrobeats category, and it's voted on by the members. The members agree, it gets on the ballot. Very simple. We just had 10 days ago a session that I hosted with a couple of Afrobeats artists, producers, songwriters, probably 25 people from the Afrobeats community, and I asked them, do you want a category? And I explained to them, because it's an important part of our show to make sure we're relevant. We haven't always been relevant with the new music, and since I've been in this role, one of my goals has been to make sure we're staying very relevant and honoring all the new music. So I invited the Afrobeats community into a listening session on Zoom. I said, do you all want to be a part of the Academy? If you do, let's unify and figure out how you can all come together to submit a proposal. If you submit a proposal, I'll make sure that it gets seen by the trustees and gets voted on. That's how you get Afrobeats or any other category to be a part of the Academy. So my hope is, after our meeting last week, they will come together, submit a proposal. There's one problem with the group that I met with, and you might understand this. The Afrobeats community had some infighting about what the category should be called, what type of music should be honored, what should be acceptable or applicable for this category. And I said, you have to realize, I acknowledge there's a lot of other types of music. There's many.
So you heard what Harvey Mason said about this, right? Now, that is an exciting thing, and and it's great to know that they have begun the process, right, in terms of having Academy, having Afrobeat as a category, and he talked about membership and how, the categories are voted on by members and the process to become a member and all of that stuff, and this is kudos to Nigerians, because Nigerians largely brought Afrobeat to the world. Most of the record artists that people recognize are Nigerians. Most of the labels, as you heard him say, that you have to have a presence in the United States. You have to have had a label that's pushing you in the United States, represents your music in the United States. And most of the Nigerian artists are signed to labels in the United States, and they're the ones that mostly are recognized. And kudos to other countries too, that have also contributed to the Afrobeat community. But I'm glad to see this. Now, it is worth also saying, and that he also did mention, that of the group that he met, he noticed they were infighting with what to call the music, what to call it, and what category to label is that. So, and I want to talk about this in terms of that, because it is true that there is infighting within the Afrobeat community. It is true, because of what I would think the reason would be individuals like DJ Abrantine that created this mess that we're in right now. The individual in the UK that decided with wherever else in closed doors to coin everything from Africa, Afrobeats with an S. And I would imagine when they were doing this, they weren't thinking long term in terms of the danger or the issues that would have with things like the categories that we're not having to discuss with Grammys. Harvey was right. You have to be able to classify it. But at the same time, I think that, and I've said it in videos that I've had many times, that it was the biggest disservice not only to Nigerians who created Afrobeats, who have pioneered Afrobeats, and I'm talking about Afrobeats with an S now, and as well as Afrobeat without the S. It's a great disservice to Nigerians, but it's also a great disservice to other African countries who have their own unique music. Individuals like the Makosa sound, Amapiano, High Life. It's a great disservice to these ones too, because now we're having that discussion. Because how do you recognize these countries without having to lump everyone into this whole thing into under Afrobeats and classify them as all Afrobeats, because they're not all Afrobeats, right? It's a great disservice, which is why when you have individuals like the guy that just talked about, DJ Ambertine, with no knowledge of business and no knowledge of how things are supposed to be done, but with one-sided agenda, it creates this type of issue that we're in right now, because now the whole world sees the music from Africa as Afrobeats. Now, I've often been critical about that. How can we have one classification, one category for the entire continent? It's never been done anywhere. There's never a time, and I've said this many times in videos, there's never been a time where one particular music genre represents the entire continent. Now we're seeing the issues with that. Now we're seeing it, because how does the Academy, the Grammys, recognize different countries and different flavors and style, which are largely and primarily distinctive in their own nature? How do you recognize artists from those countries without disrespecting them and calling them Afrobeats artists when they really aren't Afrobeat artists? How do you recognize that? And so when people ran with this whole Afrobeats with an S thing, they were very short-sighted. They were very, very short-sighted. We're not thinking about the long-term benefit and issues that this will cause. Now we're in this. So how do we get out of this mess that people like that, which is why largely also I hold people like Ayo, Shanayo, responsible also for promoting that in his documentary. By the way, please, there's a petition against the statement that he made in Afrobeat The Backstory. The link to that petition is in this video, whereby this gentleman, Ayo Shanayo, the director of the Afrobeats documentary on Netflix, made an incendiary statement to credit Afrobeats to Ghana and the foundation of that to Ghana, which has largely been false, and there's no evidence of that, and has never been the case historically. So to really help make that change, we've started a petition that has been growing fast to have Netflix pull that out of its documentary, because that is a false, misleading statement, and it discredits not only him but also Netflix, which has that on their platform. So please make sure you click on the link, make your voices heard. And so to have people like him perpetuate the false narrative of Afrobeat being a joint venture of Ghana and Nigeria, which is not true, is why we're having these issues also, right? So now, you have the CEO of the Recording Academy, Harvey Mason, really now has put the task on the Afrobeat community to resolve this within themselves. They're going to put in a proposal, right, to have Grammys, and it's something that has to be resolved. Now, I do have a solution for this. I do, because I think that I've always been of the general opinion that you cannot speak on something without having a solution for it, because this is a mess. It is. Afrobeats with an S doesn't represent the entire Africa, which is what the whole world knows it to be right now, but it doesn't. And it really takes away the credit from each individual country when you do that, right? And when you're going to reward or give an award or recognition to each individual country, it really dilutes their effort when you call it Afrobeats, right? Because Afrobeat is Nigeria. So now are these people from different part of the country who are working hard to promote their own music genre, are they supposed to just accept that they are also Afrobeats, right? So you can kind of see the issue there, right? So here's the solution that I have. And if they're watching this is my solution, because this is a mess. I think we can't do anything about the idea now that everyone calls all the music in Africa Afrobeats with an S. We can't do anything about it. As much as I really hate that term, which primarily denies mostly Nigerians of most of the credit of the effort that they're doing, but it also denies all the other African countries also their distinctive sounds. I think but there's nothing you can do about it. So here's what I'm proposing, and here's what I think would really work. I think that it's important that they create a subcategory. Because I think a subcategory is what's going to answer and resolve a lot of these questions. So here's how I'm proposing this. So Afrobeats with an S, which has become what the whole world knows music from Africa as now. We can't change it, so no need crying over spilled milk. Becomes the umbrella genre, right? But underneath that is a subcategory. And in the subcategory, it represents every country. So every country, so you have Afrobeat with an S as the top, which is a genre. But when you're going to give awards, you give it in terms of subcategory. So under the subcategory of Afrobeats, you have all these different flavors. You have Afrobeats. You have Afrobeats for Nigeria, which is Nigeria. You have Afrofusion for Nigeria. You have Afropop, and anything else under Afro, right? And that will be Nigeria. And then another subcategory will be Ghana. So you have different countries representing subcategory. And under Ghana, you have High Life. You have, which is primarily the music, you have Hip Life, or you have Hip Fusion, if that's what they want to call another flavor. But nonetheless, anything with, High Life, Hip Fusion, that's Ghana. And then a third subcategory, you have South Africa, right? You have Amapiano, which is theirs. Or maybe, you call that subcategory piano. I don't know. You have Amapiano for South Africa. You have, piano pop, piano, fusion. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. And then you have Makossa and so on and so forth. So anything Afro, as a prefix to anything else becomes Nigeria. So that's Afropop, Afrofusion, Afrobeats, which is the foundation of all of these. And anything High Life, becomes a prefix for Ghana. That's how I think you can solve this. I think that if they present that, it makes more sense, because then every country is properly recognized by their music. I think that's how we can resolve, and that's how we can repair the damage that's been already created, and we can really we can salvage this before it becomes out of hand. I think it's important that every country is duly respected and duly given its credit for its music. And I don't know any other way that can do this outside of the fact that every country will have to be respected and be credited based on their sound. So just as I proposed, that would be my proposal. Is Afrobeats is the umbrella, and under umbrella have all of these countries with a different sound, and that's understood. So that's how I would think they would need to do this. That's my proposal. Right? You heard it here first on Corporate Junky, and that was what I would think would work, because then we wouldn't have this confusion, this infighting that we're having. Oh, is it this music or is it that music? Every country's is recognized, and you recognize that music primarily based off of the people that are the owners of that music. What do I mean by that? So, for example, if you have, let me use South Africa for a second. Let me use them for a second. So, if you have someone in South Africa who was born and raised in South Africa, or has a lineage to South Africa, come up with a music, right? And owns that music. That music will generally be on piano, right? So that will be the credit. Now, is it possible that you can have someone from South Africa decide to dabble in, Afrobeat or High Life? It is possible. that they decide they don't want to go with the Amapiano sound, they want to do Afrobeat. If they own the music, and if that music is generally an Amapiano, an Afrobeat core, then that is classified as Afrobeat if you dabble into that, right? But then that's all. Those are all those little details that can be worked out in terms of what that person that originated the music would want to. So it falls back on the originator of the music. It falls back on the person and say, hey, what is your music based off of? Is it 60% Amapiano? Is it 60% Afrobeat? If it passes the 50% mark and is within the 60% of a particular music genre, it becomes that genre regardless of what country you come from. So if Burna Boy decides now that he wants to create a Amapiano music, right? It'll be, and it's a 60% Amapiano and 40% Afrobeat. It'll be mostly Amapiano, right? It'll be mostly Amapiano. So it depends who created the music and whose music it is. And I think that if they do that, that would really help to alleviate a lot of the confusion that we're having. And it would duly give credit to a lot of people. But nonetheless, it's something that I know they'll work out. It's something I know that they're going to fix because it needs to be fixed. And it needs to be resolved. But understand that the Academy wants Afrobeats. Understand that. I think that the Grammys is great, but the Grammys is not end all be all for Afrobeat. The Grammys is not. Afrobeat is successful without the Grammys, right? And you heard Harvey say that the Grammys doesn't really look at they don't consider you for a Grammy award based on your album sales, based on your followers on social media. It's generally subjective. It's based on opinions of the members, right? That's what it is. It has nothing to do with your album sales, your streams or your followers. It has nothing. It's primarily very subjective. It has a lot to do with the impact, the quality of the music, the culture of the music, which is why I am very proud of what Nigerians have been doing with Afrobeat. They've been selling the culture of Nigeria, right? Which is what Grammys is about. They want you to be unique. They want you to have an identity. They want you to represent a particular type of quality and style that is different from what they're used to seeing. And that's how you win the Grammys. That's how you win the Grammys. It's the same way, the way you win the Oscars. The exact same way. You're going to have to be different. And Nigerians have generally been different with Afrobeat, which is why the Grammys is considering Afrobeat, because it falls in line with what the categories they've generally given awards to and recognized. So they're just going to fix this whole thing that's going on right now. And I think they need to fix it, and I'm sure they will fix it. But nonetheless, I'm excited about that. What are your thoughts on what I just said? What are your thoughts? Because I would imagine people have different opinions about this. And let me hear your opinions. But before I close it, I just want to say again, congratulations to every artist out there that's promoting Afrobeats, that's promoting Nigerian culture, everyone that's a Nigerian that's promoting Nigerian culture, and everyone that is not Nigerian that has also been promoting Nigerian and African culture. I truly appreciate the work that you've done and you're doing. So thank you all for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. Do share the video. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all.
Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger är min tid. Jag vill ha dig. Du får mig känna safety. Jag kan nog leda dig, baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig.